Hello YouTube, this is Goddard Radio Mosky here again with another beer review. Now today I'm going to go back to the United States for one, and this is another brewery that I've heard very good things about but haven't actually gotten round to trying anything from. And this is another new state as well. I've not done anything from the state of Michigan yet, and this beer is actually quite aptly named for me being from Scotland. This is the Founders Brewery Dirty Bastard Scotch Style Ale. I find it quite funny that it's called this actually, because it's call it Dirty Bastard. You would just call your pal that for, you know, saying something daft. I'd be like, you're a wee dirty bastard and everything like that. So it's quite funny. I do wonder if they have somebody Scottish in the brewery that's told them to name that, or if there's been some Scottish influence on it in that way. It's quite funny actually. Another thing that's quite funny about the Scotch style of ale is that it's actually always quite strong, and the Scots are very, very well known for not alcoholic tendencies, but enjoying a good few beers, I would say. And it seems to be something that runs in the Celtic genes, but I have to say it's gotten to me as well. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews, I'll just take you through a little bit of a history of the brewery. It's always interesting to do that. This is another interesting brewery to talk about, but if you are simply just interested in the tasting of this beer, then feel free to fast forward towards the last few minutes of the video and you will catch that particular segment. But anyway, the brewery was originally founded in 1997 as the Canal Street Brewing Company in Grand Rapids, Michigan by Mike Stevens and David Engbers. Now the two were home brewing enthusiasts, and they'd actually only recently graduated from university at the point that they founded the brewery, but both had steady jobs soon after the university there. But they decided that they wanted to follow their passion, so they drew up a business plan, took out some hefty loans from the banks and quit their jobs, and they basically just dived right into it. But in the 1800s, several breweries had operated in the Canal Street area of Grand Rapids, and this area is apparently now called Monroe Avenue in the town. But the original labels on the beers were actually a black and white photo of the original Canal Street breweries with the word Founders above it, and thus the brewery became known as the Founders Brewing Company. But in the early days, the brewery actually ran very close to bankruptcy because they were brewing very well balanced but rather unremarkable ales. But at this point, the original founders team decided that they had to take some radical steps to save the brewery, and this was when they started to produce their famous complex in-your-face ales, as they're called, that they're now actually quite famous for. And they've actually made some real progress in this area. They won 4 medals at the 2010 World Beer Cup, 4 medals at the 2010 Great American Beer Festival, and they won another medal at the 2012 World Beer Cup, and they're actually rated as one of the top 4 breweries in the world by ratebeer.com, so a very, very good achievement, very impressive that actually. But their company philosophy is, it says, we don't brew beer for the masses, instead our beers are crafted for a chosen few, a small cadre of renegades and rebels who enjoy a beer that pushes the limits of what is commonly accepted as taste. In short, we make beer for people like us. So, you know, it's another one of these craft breweries that are very uncompromising. They want to get the flavour in their beers. They're not going to do this whole macro lager stuff and things like that. So it's another really, really cool brewery. As I say, the Americans are kind of the godfathers, if you like, of the craft beer movement. But this brewery are actually one of the best known craft breweries in the US today. But since the mid-2000s, the brewery has grown substantially, and they now produce around 340,000 barrels per year, with the sales market constantly growing. It's said that I think they only market in about 25 different states in the US, but I'm not sure how accurate that is. I would guess it must be more than that now if we can get these in Scotland. In Scotland, you actually only get these in the specialist beer shops. They're quite hard to find in that respect. But the brewery also have a tap room which overlooks the brewing facilities, and the customers can get a view of what brewing the beer is like in the brewery itself. But the tap room sells many exclusive beers on tap and hosts many live music events. But they also have a deli menu which is mainly handmade sandwiches. Sounds like a really, really cool tap room, this one. I need to go and visit it sometime. Michigan is a state that I've been to in the States. I've only passed through it, so I'll need to go and take a closer look at it. But they also throw an annual festival in Grand Rapids called Founders Fest, and this is a street festival in front of the brewery, and the streets actually closed down and blocked off to celebrate beer and music. But here you get a lot of local and national music acts and specialty food vendors and stuff like that. So it's a really cool brewery. It's a really cool company, this one. Maybe if I become a brewer in the future, I'll look at working for them if they'll take me. But you know, Scots are crazy, so you can't really predict that sort of thing. But anyway, to tell you a bit about their other beers, this is a member of the year-round range, which also includes the all-day IPA. This is one that I've heard is very good actually. There's the Centennial IPA, the regular Pale Ale, porter, and of course the Dirty Bastard one here. And there's a year-round draft one, which is the Red Rye IPA, which is the draft version. There's the Nitro Pale Ale and the Nitro Oatmeal Stout. Their seasonals include Red Rye IPA, which is the bottle version. This is available from January to April. They've got one that's called Rubaeus, which is obviously a Belgian influenced beer. It's a raspberry ale, available from May to August. They also have their Breakfast Stout, which is their winter seasonable, available October to December. They also have some speciality beers, which includes Imperial Stout, Carmarthen Old Ale, which is a fisherman's beer, and they also have Double Trouble, which is an Imperial IPA. They've got some limited ones, which I believe they're only available for very, very short periods of time. But they have currently they have KBS, which is an Imperial Stout, Devil Dancer, which is a triple IPA, Harvest Ale, which is obviously just a sort of farmhouse ale, that one, and they have Backwoods Bastard, which is a Scot infused aged ale. This is maybe something they've been influenced by Innocent Gun. It seemed to be that this thing was aged in bourbon casks and stuff like that, so maybe Innocent Gun from Scotland have actually influenced them to do that. It'd be quite interesting to try that one actually, but as I say, very difficult to get in Scotland. But they also have a series that's the Backstage series, which is where they bottle some of their experimental beers from the tap room, and these are very sought after, and it's said on their website that they'll only brew these once in some cases, and they don't know if they'll ever brew them again. So as I say, they're very, very sought after beers. But anyway, as is usual, let's get on to the tasting of this beer. I'm quite looking forward to this one. Now, I'll just let you have a little look at the bottle and cap on this one. I'll just bring up the camera. Now, before I get any comments about this, I really don't know what the tartan is on this particular beer bottle. I think it's maybe just a sort of generic one that's been kind of thrown together. It doesn't look like one of these real kind of crafted tartans, but it's quite a cool bottle anyway, and as you can see, it's got a kind of fiery Mad Mental Scotsman with his Jimmy hat on top there, which is quite cool. And it's actually quite a nice presented one there. It's nice that they've got the little kind of tartan at the back of it. There is the founder's bottle cap for those of you interested. But anyway, let's get on to the tasting of this guy. Now, this one is an 8.5% Scotch style ale, or Scotch ale, however you want to describe it. I mean, there's been some breweries in America have kind of caused controversy by calling things, for example, Belgian beer when it really should be a Belgian style beer. The Belgian Brewers Guild have actually got quite touchy about that in the future, but or in the past rather. But yeah. But that's an interesting thing. So well done to Founders for calling it a Scotch style ale rather, and avoiding the controversy. I don't know if anyone in Scotland would really care, to be honest, but some people are very, very touchy about these sort of things. So this is a really, really nice looking beer actually, very, very dark. Swirl up just the last little bit, get a bit more head on this one. But yeah, as you can see, it's a really, really nice sort of dark mahogany colour. I'll just bring up the camera to let you just check you can see it when I shine the light through it. As you can see, if I hold this up to the light, there's a nice sort of really dark, it's a really sort of dark mahogany colour on this one. It's really, really nice looking beer actually. As you can see, there's maybe just about a half finger of head on this one. It's quite a fluffy head, some bigger bubbles in there as well though. Let's give this guy a smell. It's a really nice nose on this one as well actually. It's very typical of a Scottish ale. They've replicated it quite well. It's, yeah, you're getting the typical sort of sweet brown sugars in this one, the sort of caramel thing, caramel malt sort of thing. There's some chocolate malts in there which are quite nice, and there's a lot of dark fruit in there as well actually, and there's a bit of roasted character in there, but I'm also picking up some sort of vanilla and woody notes in there, and there maybe is like an element of breadiness to it. It's a very, very big nose on this one, quite a complex aroma, so if you try this beer, definitely sort of give it a few whiffs and try and take it all in. This is the typical thing with Scotch ales. They are very, very sort of complex smelling beers, if you like. So yeah, it's a really, really nice aroma. I really like that about Scotch ales, as I say, but let's give this guy a taste. Yeah, this is really, really nice. It's quite funny, as I said, with the Scotch ales, they're always quite strong, and you can always pick that up off them when you first take them in. And this is a really, really nice adaptation of a American version, I should say, of a Scotch ale. This is really good. The first thing that's coming is the sort of caramel, toffee, brown, sugary, malty notes on this one. It's quite syrupy in the opening actually. But the chocolate malts are coming in there as well, and you do have a certain aspect of roasty character to it. It's really nice. It sort of complements it quite well. The dark fruits are kind of coming in the middle. You're sort of getting, I think, raisins and plums and stuff like that. I'm never very good at picking out individual sort of fruity taste, but that's where you're getting the sort of build up of the dark fruits. Definitely has some raisins, I would say. Not so sure about plums. As I say, I'm not quite so good at picking out the individual fruits and things like that. But you're also getting, at the end, you're getting the sort of the woody and vanilla tastes are coming out a little bit in this one. But it's quite bitter at the end actually, which kind of balances it out really nicely. As I say, you're starting off with these caramel and chocolate notes that do have a bit of roasty character. It's developing into a sort of dark fruit taste, and then you're getting the sort of onset of the woody and vanilla things, and at the end you're getting just that little bit of bitterness that kind of balances it out really well. But throughout this one, I would say there's a bit of an earthy character. This is a really, really nice Scotch ale, this one. You see, I really, really like this one. I can see why this brewery's got such recognition, if you like. Really, really good beer. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to finishing this one off, but hopefully I can get some more of it. It's a really, really good beer, this one. In terms of the mouthfeel, I would describe this as full-bodied. It's actually kind of quite syrupy, if you like, but it's clean and smooth at the same time. The carbonation does play a little role in this one, I would say, but it's not too prominent. It comes at you when you take it in, and then it's sort of replaced by the alcohol warmth. I think that's the sort of main feeling you're getting on the tongue after it, but there is just a little bit of carbonation in there. As I say, it's a really nice beer. It's full-bodied, quite syrupy. It is very clean, and it's quite a smooth one. But it's actually quite silky as well, with a little bit of an oily feel. And that's, as I say, it is a little bit of a syrupy beer, which is quite cool. But you are getting some of the alcohol warmth in it. As I say, this is a really, really good representation of a Scotch ale. It shows you the quality of the brewery itself, that they can replicate a sort of foreign style that well, if you like. I mean, based on this one, I really look forward to reviewing some of their other stuff. I mean, this is a really, really good representation of a Scotch ale, so hopefully you'll take my word for it being Scottish and having some experience with the Scotch ales. But this is the first Scotch ale that I've actually reviewed, and it's quite funny that it comes from America rather than from Scotland. But as I say, this one does not let itself down in the style at all. It's an absolutely beautiful beer, and I would highly recommend that, given the chance, you give it a try. So hopefully this beer review has been informative for you. I've really enjoyed this one actually. It's cool to do another one of the American breweries that's really, really well respected and stuff. But hopefully, as I say, it's been informative for you. Please comment in the section and actually let me know about your own thoughts on this beer. You'll also find the brewery, the website to the brewery there, and also I'll put a link in that gives you any of the other Founders beer reviews that I'll do. They'll be added over time, of course. But thanks again for watching my beer reviews. Please like, subscribe, share, all the usual stuff. I hope you've enjoyed this one. I've enjoyed doing it, and I'll catch you soon. Cheers.